used to do some swamp buggy entertainment down there in what was the Fakahatchee swamp years ago. Today you can't even put a swamp buggy in there. They won't let you have any motorized vehicles back in there. And it was so pretty. A lot of cypress. It had some prairies, which is a piece of land that I think it's clay or something, but if it rains it gets so slick you can't hardly stand up, and trees don't grow on it. And then they had piney woods, but back in the cypress you could find some monstrous stumps where they had logged that out, and they had pulled up dirt with a drag line or whatever and made little roads, or some of them I think they used narrow gauge railroads to bring those trees out, the logs out, and it was really pretty country. But anyway, I had a buddies, a pair of brothers that had a camp down there, and you got to their camp before you got to ours. Ours is way back in there. We found what they call an island, which is a high piece of ground that sticks up in that swamp. And we went in there and cleared some trees and started building us a cabin. And while we was clearing it up, we found an old kettle. I mean, like an old witch's kettle, you know, you see in the movies. It had been there so long it was half rotted out. So we put nailed a board on a tree and set the rest of half of that kettle up on the tree, and it looked like the tree was growing through it. And we called it the Orange Kettle Camp. And right below where we built the house, there was a little grove of Indian oranges, which is wild oranges that grow to get some, they're big as a grapefruit, and they're very sour. Oh, they're bad. And we was doing that. But anyway, this particular day, these two brothers was coming in, and is coming down the trail, and the curlew, they call them Everglades chickens. The curlew was pretty thick, so they started shooting some for supper. And they had several. And they lived on the other side of a prairie. When they got up close to the edge of the prairie, there was a buggy at their camp. And they said, Lord, that looks like a warden's buggy. We better do something with these curlew. So they began to throw them out in the palmettos as they eased over that way. And they went across the prairie and got there, and sure enough, it was the old warden. And he was asking how they doing and everything okay. And then they looked back across the prairie, and here comes somebody walking across there. And the old boy walked all the way over, and he had their curlew. He'd been back there following them on foot, and he saw them throw them out. He picked them up, and he showed them to them, and so they couldn't deny it. So they gave them big tickets. They got a big fine. They had to do community service work. That was pretty neat. But that land back in there was so good. But everybody was crooks back in them days. It seemed like they had dough boxes in their buggies that they could hide a deer in. And I run into an old man over one day, and we was talking, and I asked him, I said, well, what's going on here? You got tractor tires on this thing, but one side is rotational one way and the other side rotational the other way. Is there a reason for that? And he said, yes, there is. He said, if a warden's following me, he don't know if I'm going or coming.